Good morning. Welcome to Life Journeys with Sarina. It is Monday, June 9th, 2025, and I am recording this video ahead of time rather than going live because I had such a wonderful time last week talking to you all in the comments while we watched my for the premiere of my video together. And I think I'm gonna try it this way for a little bit because I love going live with you all, but the technology aspect of it, I feel like it stops me from connecting with you all sometimes. And I promise I will befriend this technology. But in the meantime, I think this is how I'm going to do it for the next few weeks. And then we'll try out live streaming again. But I really have been enjoying putting together these videos for you and then being able to connect with you in the comments and answer your questions that way. So if you happen to be catching this live, go ahead and leave a comment in either YouTube or in Facebook, and I will answer your questions and provide readings that way. I feel like it's a very similar way of connecting to our chat service over at One2Listen, where we are able to text or type back and forth, and it is a great way to connect because you also get to take that message with you. You can copy paste it wherever you'd like, and sometimes it's a little more concrete and easy to remember that way, and I find it an easy way to connect as well. So today we're going to be talking about a couple different things, but I'm also going to be doing a 3-card pull for a reading about inner work and growth. And this reading today is all about what that focus should be for you when it comes to the next steps in your exploration of your intuition, in your work of processing through the past, maybe in connecting to that ancient wisdom that sits within you. And sometimes, with how loud and busy the world can get, it can be so hard to figure out what we want that focus or that drive to be within our inner work. And so I can't wait to connect with you all through this 3-card reading, and to figure out what direction you should be taking. And I will be focusing very clearly on action, so that the message and the takeaway from this specific reading is very clear. That's what we'll be doing in the second half of the show. In the first half, I'm going to be talking about cycle syncing. It's something that I've talked about a lot on this show, but I talked about it before I had my beautiful kiddo. And I'm in the process of befriending my cycle again in this postpartum period. And it's different this time. And I want to share that with you all. And also, I know a lot of you are new here, so I want to give a bit of an introduction into this part of life that I'm very passionate about. So that's the bulk of the show. So what I'm going to do now is pull the 3 cards, and then you're going to pick whichever one you feel most connected to, most drawn to, and I'm going to associate these 3 cards with a flower that I just picked from my garden. And also, if you can't tell, we're out in my garden right now. We're sitting underneath this beautiful pluot tree that we have in our yard, and right next to this persimmon tree as well. And we're so lucky to be surrounded by so much abundance. And it's just, I have to give a moment to sit in gratitude for the nature that I'm surrounded by, because life wasn't always like this for us. And this is such a gift, especially as we're coming to a close on this spring. This spring has been so beautiful and eye-opening to me, and has been a wonderful way to get to know this home that we're in as well. And it's something that I'm so grateful for. And yeah, I hope that you're able to connect with the nature around you as well. So, us being outside, we're going to hear the birds. We're probably going to hear the neighborhood dogs. I hope we don't hear too many planes going overhead, but we'll just roll with it and see what happens in this next hour. So, for those of you who are joining us through 1-2 Radio, if you would like to connect with us on YouTube, you can find me at Life Journeys with Sarina. If you just search that in the search engine in youtube.com, I should come up and you should be able to click on the latest video that's been posted. And if you would like to join me in the chat room, you can go to 12radio.com and head over to the chat button on the left hand side of the screen, and that will take you to our Facebook group, also called 1-2 Radio. And if you've never been before, request to join. I'll make sure you get in, and you will find my banner, which is also a link over to YouTube, and you can leave a comment there if you would like your question to be a bit more private, which I completely understand. So YouTube can be so public, and we have our private group on Facebook. So if you would like to ask a specific question and get a reading that way through Facebook, go ahead. And if you are okay with posting your question and receiving your reading on YouTube, then go ahead and leave a comment on the video on YouTube as well. Let's talk about cycle syncing a little. So for those of you who don't know, cycle syncing is adjusting your various aspects of your lifestyle, from scheduling to diet to exercise to when you have hard conversations to how you tackle projects, and the way you plan things, like all these little ways that the things that we have control over in our life. It's organizing that around the fluctuation of our hormones that change throughout the 4 phases in our cycle. And that's the very, I guess, technical definition of cycle syncing. The deeper aspect of it is it's a practice of listening to the inner wisdom that sits within our cycles as women, that so many of us, well, all of us in society have been told to quiet and have been told is hysteria or is irrational or hormonal, or being too emotional or experiencing PMS. Like, we all know that society is structured around the patriarchal 24-hour clock. And that is what our world functions in. We as women, we function within our own internal clock that can last anywhere from 25 days to 35 days. A lot of people think that a cycle is supposed to be 28 days, but that's the other aspect of this, is our cycles are so unique to each of us that we don't even have a blanket, okay, we are on a 28-day clock. There is so little structure to this because it is so customized to each of our individual bodies, our psyches, our spirits. And it's custom to that inner wisdom that sits within us. And so when I first discovered cycle syncing, I it was maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, and I had a terrible relationship with my cycle, and birth control was driving me crazy, and I felt very frustrated and miserable. And I found, my therapist actually recommended In the Flow by Alissa Vitti. Now, this book was the gateway for me, basically. That changed everything. And what Alissa does here is she breaks down the 4 cycles, she connects them to the seasons, and that was maybe the biggest turning point for me, was when I recognized that we as women, we hold each season within our bodies and within our hormonal experience. We experience the 4 seasons each cycle. And for me, I've always loved connecting with nature however I can, and I love the transitions between the seasons and the opportunity that sits within those transitions. And it's it's something that really resonated with me early on and was a game changer, basically. And so in the flow, and I'll put this book in the description for you if any of you are interested. Alissa Vitti, she breaks down the 4 phases and leaves it a very approachable, basically in saying if you are interested in approaching this from a dietary perspective, these are the foods you should eat and the cooking methods you should have for each phase. If you're interested in approaching this in a workout approach, then here are the workouts that you should do for each phase of your cycle. Um, and for those of you who don't know what these 4 phases are, I'll leave a description in the description of this video so that you can just kind of get a really brief overview rather than me trying to break it down right now, because I feel like verbally it can get a little confusing, but visually, if it's written out, it's a lot easier. So go ahead and pause the video and check that out if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the other aspect that Alissa Vitti brought into this introduction to cycle syncing is the lifestyle shifts. And this is what was felt the most approachable for me when I was first getting into it, because I have a complicated relationship with diets and with working out. It's something that I think we as women all do, especially with trying something that feels like you change everything, right? That can be triggering for a lot of us. So I started by looking at the lifestyle shifts and seeing what I could schedule and plan and basically design the next 4 weeks of my life around what I knew my hormones would be doing. And the thing about planning this way is we've been taught that our hormones are working against us, that being hormonal is a bad thing. And the truth of it is, when your hormones are able to function the way that they are designed to, they are your biggest cheerleaders. They are your biggest support. And they can't run 24/7. They're not meant to. They need a break as well. And so we have this build in the first part of our cycle where our hormones are building and building and building, and we have all of this additional support that just feels like our exercise hits differently. We can handle hard conversations. We feel that balance between our logic and our emotions. We have that ability to really see far into the future and plan ahead and multitask. We have so much hormonal support that these challenging things feel like nothing, just no problem. You want to be social, you want to help other people, you feel like you've got that problem solving hat on. You are diving deeper into whatever projects you're working on. You're being more proactive with your work and with your home and with your family. And it's when your hormones are able to build the way that they should, it feels incredible. But imagine functioning that way all the time without a break. That would be not fun. Like, I feel like that would just, I'm also an introvert, so I don't like functioning that way all the time. But what happens in the second half of our cycle as we come out of ovulation is, when you don't get pregnant, your hormones start to crash. And so your body's no longer building these hormones. You don't need to eat certain foods in order to help with the production of these hormones. What's happening now is your body is cooling down and going into a quieter time. You feel less extroverted, you feel less social, you feel more focused inward. Things like meditation and yoga and processing deeper thoughts feels more natural and easier. You will maybe have an easier time quieting your mind. Self-reflection comes so much more easily to you. And something like cozying up with a nap and soup and a nice roast or stew, like warming foods and having a cup of cocoa, or curling up in a blanket and snuggling with your loved ones or your pets, like that is the kind of support that you could give yourself if you listened to what your hormones need and what you need. And it's also an incredible time to listen to the emotions that are bubbling up. Because when your hormones are crashing down, your whole body gets quieter. And there is an inner wise woman that is living and existing within you who we should listen to. And this is the thing that we've been categorizing her as hysteria, as PMS, as hormonal, as overly emotional. And there's a difference between listening to that emotional state, and acting from those emotions. I'm not saying make big decisions in this emotional moment. That's what you do earlier, right? It's what you do when you have your hormonal build. This is a time to process and be quiet and listen in a peaceful space where you're then able to figure out the action part of it and what to do with this processing later on in your cycle. And it's an incredible time just to practice mindfulness and see what comes up for you, to bond deeper with your intuition, to explore your spirituality. And because the rest of life will be there next week when your period is over. It will, and you'll be able to pick everything back up. And what a lot of people don't understand is when they think about giving yourself that break or slowing down, they think, well, I can't stop my life, right? I can't, my kids need me. I can't not go to work. I have to make money. And I understand the panic that comes up in saying, I can't do that. I have to function in this 24-hour clock. I have to function in this male world. But there are so many opportunities to implement this into different parts of your life without changing your schedule. And it could be if a hard conversation comes up when you are in the second half of your cycle, when you know that you will not be able to calmly and confidently handle this conversation, it's okay to say, hey, let's check back in a week. Let's just leave this for right now. Take some notes if you feel like you need to. And I'm not going to say let's sit in animosity between each other. There doesn't need to be tension here. But let's circle back in a week. Or if you have the ability to schedule a big presentation with work, then schedule that for the first half of your cycle when you have all that hormonal support and public speaking is just natural for you and you want to be social. Or if you are somebody who works out 6 days a week, maybe choose to take a nap during your cycle, during your period, rather than going on that run. Because we're starting to study women's bodies through the cycle more. And what is coming out of these studies is that women who work out regularly in the attempt to lose weight, when they pause and rest while they're bleeding, they have more success. They lose more weight than the women who continue to work out. Our bodies are designed to take a break. And if you're listening to this and you no longer have a cycle and you are going through menopause or you've gone through menopause, you still have beautiful access to that inner wisdom. And there is healing. The opportunity here is there's an opportunity for healing for you, because you still have that relationship with your cycle, even if you no longer experience that cycle every month. And so much of us have a very traumatic relationship with our cycle. It can be angsty, it could be angry, it could be hostile. I had a very hostile relationship with my cycle, and now I consider her a very good friend. And the invitation here for you is to maybe sit within that quieter mode and reflect on the relationship that you had with your cycle when you had it, because there is chance for healing here. Okay, so that's my introduction, I guess, to cycle syncing. I'm going to be releasing a lot more content about it. It's something that's on my mind all the time. The Moon Cycle Cookbook is the most recent book that I've picked up. And I thought it was a cookbook, and it is so much more. And I am going to do a review of the book. I've already made like 6 recipes from it, and it is just the food is just so yummy, but it's full of rituals. It's full of, it's such a spiritual approach to how we could support our bodies. It's it's so much more than what I expected it to be, and I can't wait to I'll do a whole video of a review of this book. It feels like an incredible group hug from this collection of wonderfully wise women, and it's so welcome. I love it. It's been such a wonderful process to work through it, and I'm only through one phase of the 4 phases with this book. Okay, just a few announcements before we shift into our reading section of this video. This Thursday is 1-2 day over at 1-2 Listen. So if you are interested in calling for a reading, maybe talking to a new advisor that you haven't connected with before, Thursday is a great opportunity. We have our 1-2 day sale every month on the 12th, and it's our lowest rates of the month. So it's a computer generated system where the rates are randomized and they change throughout the day. So check in a couple times throughout the day until you see that number that you feel comfortable with. And the other great opportunity is a lot of the advisors on 1-2 have email-based services and time-based services, which we're able to change the rates on for 1-2 days. So it's only changed, I think it starts on Wednesday around 9 p.m. and it'll last until about 9 p.m. on Thursday. So the time-based services, if Thursday isn't a good time to talk, they last for 12 days. So you can buy a time-based service of 15, 20 minutes, an hour, and then use that at a later day. Or you can check out the email-based services, and we all have our own little different email-based services that we do. One of mine that I've been really loving doing lately is I have a 10-minute recorded reading where you're able to ask up to 3 questions, and then I'll connect with your energy, and I will do a voice recorded reading where you can listen. You own the file from then on, so you can listen back to that as often as you'd like, and I'm going to have that at a reduced rate on Thursday. So that's all the business side of things. You can also always find me on 1-2 Listen, and if I'm not online when you're looking and available to call, go ahead and schedule a call back, and I'll make sure that we can connect as soon as possible. And I look forward to talking to you guys. So let's get into our 3-card pull reading. So I just finished recording the whole hour of the video, and my phone turned off right before I jumped into the reading. And what you guys don't know is this is actually the 3rd time I've tried recording this video, and there's been some sort of technology issue every time I've gotten to the 3-card pull. So I am finally going to listen to what the energy is trying to tell me, and that I'm not supposed to connect with you all this way. So I'm so sorry. I won't be doing the 3-card pull for you guys today. I just did, but for some reason that is not how I meant to connect with you all, and I am going to listen to that message. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to give you all a general reading, and this show is going to be a bit short because I'm running out of time, and I need to I need to go and produce a wonderful cat with the intuition hour, and then Lori the love Sherpa, and oh my gosh, this is sometimes you don't hear that message right away, and it needs to be shouted down the path, down the connection, because I can't believe that I lost that video again. Okay, so I'm sitting in acceptance that is not what I was meant to do today. And I'm going to connect with all of your energy, and however you find this video, however you find this reading, this message is timeless. It is meant for you, and I hope it finds you well. And this is what you are meant to hear today. So for those of you listening who won't be able to see this, I got the wasp, the butterfly, the queen, love. We'll do one more. And birth, rebirth. All right. So I am going to stick with the theme that I chose for the 3-card pull of what should your next step with your inner work be, with your personal growth, with your connection to your intuition, your journey on your path of spirituality. That still feels really like it's resonating with this reading. And so the purpose for all of you is to start something new. It feels like there is definitely an invitation here for you to start something brand new, start a new ritual, incorporate something new into your daily routine, into your practice, that feels connected to nature. It feels connected to your feminine side, whether you're male or female. We all have that feminine energy. It feels grounding, and it feels really simple. And the main focus that's coming through here is, you guys, it doesn't need to be complicated, and it doesn't need to be filled with history or purpose, or it doesn't need to feel grandiose or big in that sense. Like, don't make this too complicated. And it's because it seems like there may have been some history here for you where you tried to incorporate routine, or you tried to incorporate ritual, and then you fell off and you didn't have that consistency. And that's not the purpose here. Don't beat yourself up for that, because the beautiful opportunity here is that our rituals can change. Think about what I was just talking about with our experience as women in our cycles. We we are not the same person with the same capabilities and the same functions and the same support day to day throughout our cycle, right? We are ebbing and flowing and shifting so much. And if your rituals need to change with you as you go throughout your month, then allow that to happen. Allow that shift to experience, and allow yourself to sit and be open with the fact that you may need a different ritual today. And that lack of consistency isn't a bad thing. What's consistent is you being open to receiving what you need. We as women are receiving. We're constantly receiving. That's what we are receiving energy. We are receiving information. We are receiving that emotion. We absorb what's around us, right? And I feel comfortable speaking to all of you as women, because 100% of my audience, when I look at the analytics, are women. So I feel good talking to you all this way. But if you happen to be a man watching this, then maybe this is an opportunity for you to understand the women in your life more. Sorry, there's a squirrel. And that is the invitation for you, if that is the case. But the purpose here and the action that you can take from this reading is that next step for your work towards inner growth and your intuition is to bring in that ritual that's been on your mind. And you guys, it could be as simple as being intentional when you drink that first glass of water in the morning. It can be as simple as shaking your hair out and releasing the energy that sits in your hair first thing when you wake up. It can be, the moments when you catch the sunset on those rare days that you get to see the sunset. Allow yourself to sit there in quiet and experience it and see what comes up. It could be a ritual every time your cat comes up to you You do the same kind of interaction, make it special, give it purpose. It doesn't have to be something that happens at a specific time every day. It doesn't have to be something that's consistent in that sense. It can be fun, and it could also be deep and intense. Because if it has that depth and if it has that intensity, just make sure you're balancing it with light practice, right? If that ritual is tied to something that is on the deeper side and is a bit more intense, then make sure you are incorporating some sort of balance into it so that it doesn't sit in that lower frequency, right? So, say if the ritual that you've associated with is anytime you have an argument or anytime you get into conflict with somebody, whether that's in your family or someone you know or a stranger, or maybe you incorporate ritual into road rage, right? Like your ritual could be inviting a moment of quiet before reacting. It could be a practice of shaking it off, physically shaking it off once it's finished, so that you can move on with your day. They can be very practical and very intentional practices that you can incorporate into challenging moments as well. They don't all have to be sitting in moments of peace and beauty. Okay, that's the invitation for you all today. And I'm still laughing about, I can't believe how many times I've tried to record this video, and this is the video you all are meant to see. So, for those of you who are here and you have not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. It means the world to me. I'm still a small channel, and I can't believe how much my channel has grown in the past few weeks. So thank you so much for all of the love and the support.